But communities, I think, now are kind of moving online and changing a little bit. And populations are much more mobile, and in an area like Gosford, you notice that more than any other, I guess. You've got a transient population that comes in and out based on the season. You've got a growing commuter population as well. Your communities are moving. And the rise of social networking and brilliant time absorption devices like Facebook and Twitter and MySpace and so on, with which you will have varying degrees of familiarity, I'm sure, means that you might live in Gosford, but maybe you have more in common with somebody in Melbourne with whom you have nightly Facebook chats about your shared hobby of restoring antique harpsichords than you might do with your actual neighbour. There's a lot of hand-wringing that goes on about the fact that people don't talk to their neighbours as much as they used to, but people talk to other people who are a long way away from them in ways that they never would have 10 or 20 years ago. I tend to be an optimist about the growth of community. I think that anything that increases the ability to communicate is a good thing for community. We just have to be sure that we know what we're talking about when we define what community is. This is something, by the way, that we in the media are grappling with in a really real sense. I mean, I worked until a year ago for the Sydney Morning Herald, and the newspaper industry is completely occupied with this question of where our community's gone. Used to be quite a one that was quite easy for us to get to. They just bought the paper, so you knew that you were on the front lawn every day or on the train. Now, people are starting to consume their news in a different way. Maybe they read news stories online that a friend sends them saying, read this, you know. It's a much more scattered community. And that's an issue for my industry and for many others. But on the upside, I think people are still contactable. They just gather in different ways, usually to do with their interests. I think that on the upside too, they are more likely to be a better mix across a geographic area. People don't have to move for their work so much. People can socialise in different ways. Young people don't feel so alienated by geographical distance, I think, as they used to, and that's a very good thing. But I think you also, in the end, have to ask, in all of this, the most dangerous question of all, which is, how much do you actually want to ask people? What is the value of representation? What's the value of leadership? This is kind of a big part of the outsourcing equation that I talked about, wanting other people to take the hard decisions. You could consult in the community until the cows come home. You can track down every single person in the Gosford area and ask them what they think about every single issue. And you will drive those people completely crazy. And you will also raise a very significant question about what the use is of having a local government, of having an elected government. Because while having an election every 4 years isn't the beginning and end of public consultation, and while it's important to seek views, you have to make a decision, really, as a group, how much you want to be consulted on everything. Political research, I think, is so easy now, and it's particularly broadly used at federal government and state government level. You know, I don't know how many of you have been invited in for focus groups, which are these kind of creepy occasions where maybe 12 or 15 of you are brought into a room, paid $50, fed sandwiches and soft drinks, and asked by a moderator seemingly casual questions about your opinions on various issues. It's kind of like a more advanced model of the old phone polling system, which still happens. Usually when you're in the middle of bathing a child, the phone will ring, and it'll be some person asking you whether you are voting Labor or Liberal. But political research is so completely sophisticated now that using these focus group methods, politicians can divine crowd psychology on a whole lot of points. And it's kind of a great toy for politicians because they can second guess their own judgment. They can say, well, I think you would like to have a train going from here to here. That's what I think would be right, but I'm going to ask you. And in the end, politicians, I think, can come to depend too much on that tool, so much that they actually render their own political judgment kind of redundant. You've got to ask yourself, in the end, I think, what is the use of representative politics? Why do we have politicians? Why do we have representatives? What is the value of leadership? I think we get confused sometimes between leadership and followership. So that's another question. Look, I will, I think, close on a note of personal obsession. And I know that you are going to retire to groups and discuss your own opinions on all of these issues, and issues of governance, use that word. But all the questions that I've raised over the course of this talk are all questions for you in your local community, how you want to govern your community, how you want to define it even, whether you want to consult up the wazoo or whether you would like to experiment with dictatorship. It's all the same to me, but if I could venture an opinion on the worst mistake governments at all levels make, in my opinion, it's uncommunication. Documents that don't make sense. COAG conferences that spew out 60-page resolutions that are completely incomprehensible to even the super intelligent. Speeches that are so laden with jargon or that are dancing around a political issue, so much so that they are opaque, completely opaque to the normal ear. I think people are better educated about spin now than they ever were. And I think that the best possible response to this by people at all levels of government, whatever they do, is to start making sense. There's never been a better time. Don't roll out things that are not round. Don't talk about detailed programmatic specificity. If one more person uses the term shovel-ready, I will be shovel-ready. As I said, it's a note of personal obsession. I will close there. I hope that we can have a bit of a back and forth. Feel free to ask a question about anything, even about a politician or a political issue or whatever. I know this is kind of like a vague sort of a topic. So if you have a question about anything at all, do let me know.
Once again, I'd like you to warmly thank Annabel Crabb. Over the next hour, I encourage you at your leisure to move through the 4 conversation hubs and further comment on the draft objectives. This evening, of course, we are focusing on governance and civic leadership. Event staff are stationed at the hubs to assist with this activity. They can also answer any questions you have about this evening's forum and the community strategic planning process. As we all have a range of views that are important, I would like for us to consider some good conversation guidelines, which are just up there. I would just like to go through those. That everybody gets an opportunity to provide input. That everybody's point of view is respected, even if it's different from yours. Listen to and respect the facilitator's guidance. If you're unable to voice your point of view, please post a comment on the board or go to the website gosford2025.com.au. Further refreshments will be provided over the next hour, so you may take the opportunity, if a particular conversation hub is a little bit busy, take the opportunity to have something to eat, maybe a little drink, and then go back. So we're going to be around for the full hour. We are inviting the community involvement in the community strategic planning process until the 3rd of December. So basically, if you wanted to make further comments or your comments past tonight, then please get them into us by the 3rd of December, after which the draft community strategic plan will be prepared. Like I said, if you're unable to make comments this evening or wish to further consider the issues, you can either participate in the forum on our website by going to Gosford 2025, which will be going up on the screen shortly, or use the reply paid envelope in your registration pack. So in your little show bag, there is an envelope in there, reply paid. put your comments down and pop that in the post to us. Additional information is included in the packs you received on arrival that you can read at your own leisure. Topic papers on a range of important local issues are also available in foyer. As we will not be gathering together as a group, I would like to thank you in advance for coming along on this pretty rotten evening in terms of the weather. And I encourage you to have your say on one of the comment boards at each of the conversation hubs. So thank you for coming out tonight. Please have your say, and if you're going to be attending another forum, we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.